Oh man, it smells. Dirt trails. It's called the Cortex, right? Everyone sacrifice. This is what happened on their app. Eat, bend me. I am free. This is the view that I have. It's the time of my life. Freaking downpour. Don't forget to smile. Greetings everybody and Happy New Year! I'm coming to you from downtown Zhongshan, China. It is another year done here at Walkabout Rojo, and it has been by far the best year of my life. And I'm so happy that I got to document most of it and share it with all of you. So I wanted to take this opportunity and review 2019. It really does take an awful lot of work to film these videos and edit them and put myself out there as a very private guy to share my life like this. It's always a challenge for me. And I appreciate everyone watching, commenting, and being so supportive. I really have a wonderful time producing the content for this channel. So let me give you some numbers. It's been a banner year, let me tell you. In 2019, I published 80 videos with a total approximately of 635 minutes, about 10 and a half hours worth of content. I've gotten about 268,400 views. That's an increase of 125% from the previous year. I'll take 125% growth every year. Bring it. That equates to about 16,400 hours of watch time. That's an increase of 164%. Over 1,400 new subscribers. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. 3.2 million impressions. That's insane. The largest country is the United States at 26%, followed closely by Malaysia, Hong Kong, Canada, and Singapore. So for all of my friends from all around the world, thank you for watching and thank you for being a part of Walkabout Rojo. It really means a lot to me. I got my Starbucks coffee for the morning because it's really overpriced coffee here in China. Let me tell you, it's about $5 for a latte. You can go to Pizza Hut and get a full bacon and eggs breakfast and unlimited coffee for $4. But still, it's a little taste of home. In January, I posted 6 videos. Began the year talking about a lot of very personal things, such as the challenges that a person might face when they first moved to China. Now, I used my experience to talk about these things, gave some tips and some hints that I have come across over the last few years. In addition, I talked about the new tax changes. Believe it or not, taxes are also kind of a personal subject for me. My father being in the tax business back home and me working with his firm for a few years, a few seasons. I have a long history with, preparing taxes and trying to understand. The Spring Festival came, so I spent the last half of January traveling to one of the most amazing countries I've ever visited, and that was Vietnam. I had always wanted to go to Vietnam, not just because I've seen it in all the movies and stuff growing up, but also because I have many Vietnamese friends back home. I grew up in an area very close to Little Saigon in Orange County, California. The first place I went to was Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon. And the first place I went to when I was in Saigon was the War Remnants Museum. This was a very powerful experience for me. It's one of my favorite videos that I've ever done. It's an emotional roller coaster, that museum, but it's an important place to go. If you do go to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh, this should be the first place you visit. Not only to pay your respects, but to also get perspective. In real life, when you're shot, you don't spawn back to life and start the level all over again. In real life, this is what happens. A couple blocks away from the museum is the Reunification Palace, they call it, which was the center of the Saigon government before the war. In February, I published 7 videos. During this time, I was still in Vietnam. And then I flew to Da Nang. Yeah, I loved it there. From the minute I got on the ground, checked into the hotel, the beaches, the vibe, the atmosphere, the food, the people. When I was there, I went to the Marble Mountains. It's like the Temple of Doom. Raining inside the mountain. Rented a motorbike and I rode all around the town. I drank some amazing coffee and not only had some great Vietnamese food, but also some incredible tacos. I did not want to leave Da Nang. I wanted to stay. If I ever were to leave China and go to another city in Asia, Da Nang would be it. In March, I published 12 videos. It was very busy. From Da Nang, I then flew to Hanoi. Immediately getting there, I could see a huge difference between southern Vietnam and northern Vietnam. Everything is different. The food is different. The atmosphere is different. The weather, the people. I stayed in the old quarter, which was very cultural, had a great nightlife. And I rented a motorbike and I rode all over, and I even rode out to Ba Vi National Park, which was a long ride in a freezing cold. And then I got a cold and I got really sick. When I came back to Zhongshan, I decided to stay in some interesting hotels in Guangzhou. I stayed at a Chinese love hotel, the Planet Hotel in Guangzhou, which was also a very unique and wonderful experience. I was very impressed with this tiny little boutique hotel, the level of the service, the comfort of the rooms, and just the concept. I really felt I was staying on the Enterprise from Star Trek. I rented a car and started exploring much of Guangdong. I drove out to Yangjiang and visited the Silk Road Maritime Museum, which is an incredible building. The architecture there is insane. Enjoyed the beaches and enjoyed the seafood. In April, I posted 8 videos. I did the Zhongshan Charity Parade, which is this giant charity parade here in town. A wonderful opportunity to meet other foreigners who live in town and show our support for Zhongshan and the charity. Then I got back in the car and I drove all the way to the other side of Guangdong to Chaozhou, the ancient city. So I went to all kinds of cities. I went to Huyen, I went to Shanhui, I went to Huizhou, went back to the Circle Art Hotel here in Zhongshan. It's one of my favorite hotels in town. I also, during this time, was getting my shoulder fixed at the hospital. Started to talk about my experience in a Chinese public hospital, and it was a wonderful experience. It was so different and unique, but it was very efficient, cheap, and they took care of me. And then I took off to Macau for a couple of days. I love Macau. And this time I wanted to stay in one of the large resort hotels, and I stayed at Studio City. In May, I posted another 8 videos. Part of this was my walkabout in Macau and the Cotai Strip. In addition, I made a couple of videos about some of my favorite places in Zhongshan, which I will do more of this year, including what I think is the best hotel in Zhongshan, that's the Hilton. And also what is some people say is the best restaurant in Zhongshan. I got a lot of flack for this. It's called Shichi Lao. It's one of the most famous restaurants, but a lot of the locals tell me that the locals don't go to eat there. It's kind of a touristy kind of place to eat. And they gave me some other suggestions on restaurants when I have eaten at those other restaurants. And I got to tell you, all the restaurants here in Zhongshan are good. In June, I posted just 4 videos. How to get money out of China. This is a question that a lot of people still ask. And of course it changes often, so people continue to ask. There's new methods, new ways, new rules. One guy said, oh, there's a bank in Dongguan. Outside the bank is a man with a big bag of money, and you go to him with Chinese yuan and you exchange that for dollars. Obviously you should not do that. I also did an apartment tour of my apartment here at the college. I did one about the skills. I actually sat down and wrote out about all the skills that you pick up when you live abroad. And I'm not just talking about language skills, I'm talking about all different types of skills. It is a very honest video. And I did one on coffee culture, because I love coffee. Morning. Oh, it is bright and early in the morning, and like a lot of Westerners, it's time for my morning coffee. You have to order on their app. And in order to order on the app, you have to connect it with WeChat. Coffee culture has long been kind of a symbol of wealth and status. It's a little taste of home as I drink my Pacific coffee here. In July, I didn't post any videos. I was actually traveling back to America to see my family, and I spent most of July in America. I was enjoying my time with my parents and my brothers and my sisters and my nephews, my cousins, my uncles, aunts, everyone. It was my time to take in as much family as I could, and it was a great escape, and I needed that break. In August, I posted 7 videos, but then I started posting my American videos. But it was just really good to drive my old car, to see my family, spend some good quality time with my mom and dad. I had to drive out to South Dakota. I used to live there when I was in the service. A magical place. Most people think, oh, South Dakota, what's there? For the week of my birthday, I wanted to do a road trip and do hiking and go camping in the Black Hills and see some old friends. I had to take care of some business, but just to be back in the Black Hills was great for the soul. And from the Black Hills, believe it or not, even though I lived there for many years, the next state over is Wyoming, where Yellowstone is, and I never visited Yellowstone. I got a very, very good campsite, and I got to spend the night in Yellowstone for my birthday. It was one of the best birthday presents I've ever had.
By the way, today's my birthday, so yeah, I turned 40 today. So far, so good. I mean, this is very wonderful. I'm just hoping no animals come and kill me in the middle of the night.
In September, I posted 8 videos. Even though September, by this time, I had gone on to other countries, I was still posting videos from America. One of my favorite ones was just waking up early in the morning. I hadn't shaved in like 2 weeks, so I was looking really rough. And I just went shooting guns with my father, one of my favorite things to do. I don't get to shoot guns here in China. And then that afternoon, I was invited to go fishing in Newport Beach. And there were tons of people out enjoying the water, enjoying the weather. So much fun just to go fishing with my brother and my 2 nephews and growing up my next door neighbor. And then I began my trip to Japan. Now I was in Tokyo for 4 or 5 days, and I didn't get to see very much, and actually I was very upset about that. Tokyo was a unique experience, but I don't think I got enough of it. Kamakura was a beautiful place in ancient Japanese culture, and I really enjoyed my time there. Walking in is insanely gorgeous. Japan, I flew to Bangkok, and I began, a couple weeks in Thailand. And I walked around Bangkok for a few days and really took it in and enjoyed it. It was great. I ate so much food. From Bangkok, I then flew to Phuket. There were a lot of tourists, but that tourist infrastructure made the trip very nice. And the beaches were not too crowded. It was the off season, and I enjoyed Patong. In October, I posted 11 videos. Went on a great hike in Phuket to a beautiful waterfall. It was a Wednesday, and there was nobody there. I was all alone, and I got to explore and experience a little bit of the Thai nature.
Like hiking alone in the Thai jungle. It's very rural, and there's a lot of nature out here, a lot of spiders, a lot of bugs. You have to be really careful where you step. Oh, ooh, I cut myself kind of good there. Damn it. Ow, that hurts. Ah, man, fingers bleed. Oh, the water feels so good. There's a little perch right here at the base where you can stand up. It's the time of my life.
It was one of the highlights of the year, was just sitting under that waterfall and letting it fall on me, that nice cool water on a hot day. From Phuket, I then flew via Bangkok to Siem Reap. I spent a few days exploring Angkor, truly one of the most magical places I've ever been to in my life.
It's beautiful. Just the amount of detail everywhere.
It really did leave a lasting impression on me, but it wasn't easy. I mean, I still had some fails during this time as well.
Get up the main roads, come down one of these dirt roads, and enjoy the nature. Oh, the bike broke on me. I was just riding along back into town, and it went dead.
I went back to Bangkok and did another walkabout of the city, this time in the Bangkok canals and on the ferry boats, and that was a lot of fun. And then when I came back to Zhongshan, I went out to Jiangmen and watched a soccer game, cheered on the American team. I most recently posted a very personal video about me being a dyslexic teacher. Dive deeply into what it means to be a dyslexic myself and what it means to be a dyslexic English teacher. It took a lot out of me and an awful lot of courage to film that video and then put it out there for everybody to see. I am a dyslexic English teacher. Ask people, what is dyslexia? You'll get a whole range of answers. The outer part of our brain is called the cortex, right? Part of that cortex is something called mini columns. I have a problem with something called phonetic decoding.
In high school, I was completely lost.
It wasn't just my parents. I mean, my entire family really helped out in this endeavor. Everyone sacrificed. What makes me unique is that I am dyslexic and I understand students who struggle a little bit more with things like language acquisition because I'm one of them. If you are dyslexic, it's something you should embrace in your life too. I liked Angkor Wat so much that I actually posted another video of a little day hike that I did around Angkor Wat.
It is so peaceful just to stand here. I'm on the far northeast corner of the temple, and I'm all alone. There's nobody here. There's no one out there.
One of my favorite day hikes I've ever taken. Speaking of hiking, in December I also went on a hiking camping trip in a local mountain here in Zhongshan with some friends. It was my first time camping in China. So we hiked to the top of a mountain. There's no real campsite there. We just kind of pitched our tents on the side of the peak. At night, it was great to look down on the city and to see the city lights without hearing any sounds. It was very moving for me. It made me fall in love with this city even more. And in the morning, we watched an incredible sunrise.
lot of people up here watching the sunrise. They started coming up very early, and then they just flooded. It's a very popular place on a Sunday morning, but I see why. It's absolutely beautiful. The lake is dead flat and reflecting the trees on the shoreline with a very light cloud cover. Sun's a little bright. Wow.
So that's it. Like I said, another banner year here. And this morning I've got another Starbucks. 2019 was an amazing year. And I'm really looking forward to the coming year. Got a lot planned. In the next week or so, I'm buying a car. I've been car shopping. You don't need a car in China, but I want a car. I want a toy. I want a tool that I can use to travel certain places that most foreigners cannot get to. This is a commitment to staying here in China and kind of planting a seed here, if you will. And I'm going to be releasing a video about the process of looking for a car, secondhand car, and buying it and registering it and all the groovy stuff that comes with car ownership. For the Spring Festival this year, I'm not planning anything very large. I might go take a week and sit on a beach somewhere in Southeast Asia, but I get like 5, almost 6 weeks off, and I really want to just explore more Guangdong. I did it last Spring Festival for only about a week, but this time I want to spend a couple days in each city and really kind of dig into the cities around Guangdong, maybe some surrounding provinces such as Guangxi, go back to Yangshuo, maybe southern Hunan. Beihai is kind of on my list lately. Shaoguan, of course. This summer, aside from my usual trip back to America to see the family, I'm planning some other things. I want to concentrate more on China this year. Really kind of get into the western side of China, Chengdu, northern China, Beijing, Xi'an, places like this. Also on my list is Taiwan, Bali, maybe even South Korea. It's going to be a great year, and I hope you have a great year too.